Welcome everybody to our regularly scheduled meeting, Tuesday, September 16th, 2025, a little after 7. Call to order and declaration of a quorum, 7 members present. Welcome everybody. Thank y'all for being here. Welcome to this meeting of College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees. We were elected at large to represent the interests of our community and our state in educating our students. Our mission for our students in this district is success each life, each day, each hour. We adhere to all pertinent laws, policies, and procedures in posting agendas and conducting our meetings. The detailed agenda information was made available to us at least 3 business days in advance, and we've all come to this meeting informed and prepared. We've just completed a workshop session where we heard reports and discussed much of the information needed to make decisions in either this meeting or in upcoming meetings. It's a meeting of the 7 trustees in a public setting rather than a public meeting. As such, public comment is included on the agenda at a specific time and requires us to listen rather than take action so as to abide by the Open Meetings Act. We're pleased that you've taken the time this evening to join us. We're very proud of this school district, and we thank you for your interest in and support of our students. Moves us to recognitions, and I believe we have the students from Riverbend and Southwood Valley tonight.
No, just not yet. Good evening, everybody. I'm Allie DeLuna, the proud principal at Southwood Valley Elementary. We actually have a lot of kids here, and so we'll call y'all's names in just a minute. But here tonight with me, we have Garrett DeLuna and we have CJ Wanzer Serrano. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and they are both dual language students at Southwood Valley, and they are going to be brave and read in English and Spanish. Today, CJ told me that when he started Southwood Valley, he knew this much Spanish because his mom knows some, and now he knows that much. This one here, I can tell you, I don't know any Spanish, and he doesn't even let me read it because he's embarrassed by it. So we'll let them introduce themselves.
Buenas tardes, me llamo Garrett Luna y soy estudiante de 4º grado en la escuela primaria de Southwood Valley. Soy el presidente del equipo liderazgo en mi escuela. Como presidente, ayuda a planear nuestros asuntos y me aseguro de que los proyectos que iniciamos sean claros y organizados para nuestro grupo de liderazgo. Disfruto mucho participando en los proyectos que elegimos y en las actividades que realizamos juntos. Además del liderazgo, algunas de las actividades que disfrutan son jugar béisbol y tenis. También me gusta leer, especialmente libros de ficción realista, pero lo que más me gusta es pasar tiempo de calidad jugando con mis padres, Ali y Gil Duna. Lo que más me gusta de mi escuela en Southwood Valley es tener la oportunidad de hacer buenas amistades, ser amable y ayudar a los demás con el liderazgo. Muchas gracias. Good evening. My name is Garrett DeLuna, and I'm in 4th grade at Southwood Valley Elementary. I serve as a student leadership president on my campus. As president, I help plan our meetings and make sure the projects we do are clear and organized for our 3rd and 4th grade leadership group. I really enjoy having a say in the projects we choose and the activities we work on together. Outside of leadership, some of the activities I enjoy are playing baseball and tennis. I also like to read, especially realistic fiction books. But what I love to do the most is spending quality time playing games with my parents, Ali and Gil DeLuna. My favorite thing about Southwood Valley is getting the chance to make lasting friendships, spreading kindness, and help others through leadership. Thank you for allowing me to share tonight.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es CJ y estoy en 4º grado en la primaria de Southwood Valley. Soy el director de comunicaciones en nuestro grupo de liderazgo estudiantil en mi escuela. Como director de comunicaciones, mi trabajo es compartir información importante. Me comunico con nuestra presidenta del PTO, Habló en los anuncios de la mañana sobre los próximos eventos de liderazgo estudiantil y también ayudó a comunicarme con nuestros equipos de casa. Fuera de la escuela disfruto mucho jugar a fútbol, trabajar en proyectos de codificación y retarme a mí mismo en Jiu-Jitsu. Mi cosa favorita de Southwood Valley son las maestras y también poder usar mi creatividad escribiendo cuentos o creando proyectos en la clase de arte. Gracias por darme la oportunidad de compartir y lo que más disfruto de ser un águila. Good evening. My name is CJ and I am in 4th grade at Southwood Valley Elementary and I am the Communications Director for our student leadership group on campus. As Communications Director, my job is to share important information. I can communicate with our PTO president, speak on our morning announcements about upcoming student leadership events, and help communicate with our house teams. Outside of school, I enjoy being active in soccer, working on coding projects, and challenging myself at Jiu-Jitsu. My favorite thing about Southwood Valley are the teachers and being able to use my creativity in writing stories or being able to building projects in art class. Thank you for giving me the chance to share about my role and what I enjoy most about being an Eagle.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Sherman. I'm the very proud principal at Riverbend Elementary, and tonight I have with me two amazing Riverbend leader bears, and they are going to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Claire Hernandez. I'm in 4th grade at Riverbend Elementary. My favorite subject is math, and I am in student council, RB Steppers, and social media rangers. One thing I love about Riverbend is that I feel like we're all connected in one big family, students and teachers.
Hello, my name is Ashan, and I'm in 4th grade at Riverbend Elementary. I'm in social media rangers and principal advisory crew. My favorite subject is math because it is easy for me to do, and And the thing I love about Riverbend is that in principal advisory crew, you get to share things how to make Riverbend better.
Please rise for the pledges and moments of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Please remain standing for the moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated.
Excellent job. Good job.
Okay, like right here, 1, 2, 3, cheese. Great job, you guys. Very nice.
I lost it. Okay, if I could get my office crew to come up here. Tonight, it is my honor and pleasure to recognize my front office crew. Mrs. Sanders, my assistant principal, is not feeling well, so she's not here tonight, but definitely want to recognize her. She's new to our campus and has been just a fantastic part of our family, and is a really hard worker and just wants to do her best at all times. And so she has just been fantastic. So we're missing her tonight. But you all know, the principals in the room, how important this group of people are. You need people that have your back, but these ladies have my back, my front, my sides, like every part. And so I'm going to start with Candace Arispe. She is my principal secretary, and she is just a ray of sunshine. I always say if her and Melanie Ward are in a room together, y'all should just prepare because they are just brighten up the room. She runs the school along with me. There's not many positions on campus that have to deal with the budget and the people and the PTO and the students and just everything, transportation, everything. And she does it all, and she does it with grace and with a smile. And she has just been a blessing to me. Mrs. Pogue, Kate Pogue, our amazing counselor, we stole from West Virginia not too long ago, and this is her second year at Southwood Valley. And recently she said trauma is my jam, because not that it's a good thing, obviously, but she just is all in all the time, and she is ready for the hard stuff. And she does it with so much love and kindness in her heart. And one of the students last year, when we did the awards that Education Foundation, the Star Educator Awards, one of our students couldn't afford one, and I recognized everybody in front of the staff at a house team meeting, and she got the microphone from me and she said, "Can I please say something about one of your staff members?" I was like, "Okay, what are you going to say?" And she publicly recognized Mrs. Pogue for changing her life and being her safe place. And so that's just one example of how fantastic she is. Mrs. Bethune, she is our front behavior coach. She's our front line for everything as far as behavior solutions and just making sure that we are proactive and keeping kids in the classroom and keeping them successful. She has a smile all the time. I've yet to see her stress out, which is great. And her laughter, like, it just makes me smile. I can hear it. The whole office can hear it. And so she has been a true joy this year. Elizabeth Villa is new to us this year in the front office. Her and Gladys, they're the faces. They are the ones that everybody sees when they come in the building. They get the parents that are mad at me. They get the parents that are happy. They get all the things. They get to know all of you guys. I know you all recognize them. And they take care of their business. They take care of, Gladys has two roles, attendance clerk and registrar, and she does it beautifully. And Nurse Kay, we worked together for so long. She's our amazing nurse. She's been through it all. She's been through COVID. We've been to hospitals together. We've done all of the things, and she takes care of the staff. She took care of the staff member today. And man, she is quick. If you need Tiffany, you better say what you need, because she's already there before you've finished your walkie call. And again, she does it with a smile and a laugh. And then last but not least, up here, I have Bridget Freeman. She's our Title I specialist, and she started at Southwood Valley with me as my secretary and finished her degree, and we couldn't lose her because she is just magic. That hair that she has is magic. If you touch it, I think it might be weird if you touch it tonight, but the good things will happen. She just does things. This whole staff, this week, I sent an email to Candace. I sent an email to Bridget. Hey, can you take care of this? It's usually responded with, it's already done. It's already taken care of. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I am only as good as you guys, and you make our school shine. So thank you. Everybody got it like this? Perfect. Okay. Great job.
All right, Riverbend people, where you at?
We want you to step in.
I know some. They taught me. I can break it down even in heels. Can y'all stand with your group? Sure. Excellent. All right. Good evening, everyone. I am so proud and honored to be standing aside these amazing educators and leaders in our campus. These ladies up here are the sponsors of all of our student organizations that we have at Riverbend. We've had a lot of success over the last couple of years in new initiatives that we've rolled out at Riverbend, and we celebrate those periodically with our staff. But one of the things that I love most are the things that you can't measure in data. They don't get an accountability measure. They don't get any kind of letter grade, but they do add to the culture and the climate of your school. And these ladies and their leadership have done just that. A couple of years ago, we got some data back from some feedback that we solicited from our students, and the feedback was hard, but feedback is feedback, and it said that our students didn't feel like they belonged. And that was really hard for us to hear as educators who love our school and love our students. And so we decided that we were going to build in some systems to help empower our students and create a better sense of belonging. So from that, the very first organization that we formed was the Social Media Rangers. And these are students who go around the school and help tell our school story by donating their time. They have iPads and press badges. They go into classrooms, they capture photos, and then they work with our wonderful digital learning coach, Ms. Jill Peterson, to tell our school story through captions, through photos, through videos. Jill does an amazing job at tapping into their creativity, creating little savvy digital monsters that love to run around our school and tell our school story and invite the world to see the things that are happening at our school that are making our school a better place. Jill leads our teachers remarkably well in new technology initiatives, but more importantly, she empowers our students to have a voice and have ownership in their school experience. Our Miss Foley is our registrar / attendance clerk / director of first impressions. And Ms. Monique Goodman-Lopez is a 4th grade teacher, and these two ladies head up our Riverbend Steppers. Our Riverbend Steppers are a group that started because 3 little girls at recess decided they wanted to learn how to step, and Ms. Goodman-Lopez said, "Sure, I'll teach you how to do that." And from there, we had 3 students, then we had 10 students, and if you were at district convocation, you can see where we're at now. What I love most about these ladies is because they took a group of students who are very shy and timid, and they grew them into courageous bears who got on a stage in front of thousands of adults and performed their little hearts out. I love that they seek out opportunities for our bears to shine in our community by going to different schools and participating in different events. They're teaching them more than just rhythm. They're teaching them how to have teamwork and how to be courageous and how to be proud of themselves in a way that when they put themselves on stage. So thank you, ladies, because without your leadership, they would not have the courage to do so. Lauren Guest right here is my assistant principal. She's my favorite human besides my husband. He's probably watching, so I should say that. And I don't know how she does it because Lord knows she has 1,000 other things to do. But her leadership organization is the Riverbend newspaper. A couple of years ago, she had 2 little boys that are now at Pecan Trail come to her and want to start a new student newspaper. And she courageously said, yes, which we don't always say as educators. We find reasons not to, and she was brave and said yes. And so she started working with those 2 little boys, and from there they built an editorial staff, and now they partner with our social media rangers anytime we have visitors, where they are interviewing our guests, and our social media rangers are helping them to record those and put those out to social media, and together they've kind of built an empire. But what I love most about what Lauren does is that she is building our future journalists. She's allowing students to have a voice and to give their perspective. They go around and interview other students after they've gone on field trips or after we've had performances and get their views and put those out to the school. So I love that we have that opportunity, and Lauren does a great job of finding time in her very busy schedule to lead that group. Over here, we have Marissa Garcia, fourth grade teacher, Kara McQueen, kindergarten, Marissa Shelton is early childhood, and Kim Young is fourth grade. And these ladies lead up our student council. So a wide variety of skills that help all of our students answer that call of service. So they're tasked with building capacity within our third and fourth graders, learning how to take action when we have great ideas, and again, building our culture in our community. This year they had a record-breaking 85 third graders that wanted to be a part of it, and so we're working on that. But they do a great job, and they also travel with our student council officers to student council leadership opportunities. Plug for the TEPSA Leadership Conference for all of you K through 6. If you've got 4th through 6th grade leaders, we're hosting that this year as a district, and so they do a wonderful job at just bridging our community to service and inspiring our leaders to take action. And then last but certainly not least is our counselor, Miss Lisa Bishop. She is heading up a new organization this year called the Bear Ambassadors. And these ambassadors will be rooted in service and hospitality and kindness, and again, making students feel like they belong. So they will be the ones who are welcoming new students to our campus by providing tours and providing friendships from the beginning. So when students enter our building, they already have a familiar face. And so she's going to lead that up, and that's just going to be rooted in kindness and belonging, and we're excited to see where that goes. So all of that to be said, that there's wonderful things happening in our building, but most importantly, there's opportunities where we're saying yes. I am not here to recognize myself, but we also have a principal advisory crew, and I'm here to tell my fellow colleagues, if you don't have a student panel that's helping you make decisions about your school, do it. They are the voice. They are the reason why we do what we do, and that principal advisory crew has come up with some of the best ideas that no adult in this room would ever come up with, and it's the best because it's through their lens and it's for their school. And so I empower you and challenge you to create that kind of a atmosphere at your school. But thank you, ladies, for everything that you do to empower our students. You make them better, you make me better, and you've made our school better by your leadership. Thank you.
Yeah, that works.
Ready?
Good evening, everyone. I am Shannon Caltharp. I am actually the Director of Transportation, and with me is Chuck Longwell, my driver supervisor, and Carol Lester, my Assistant Director. And I wanted to share a little bit about a few people. Unfortunately, one of my ladies couldn't make it tonight. She actually drives every day from BDIs to come and serve our community. So she has children at home, so she couldn't be here, but I'm going to read this just as I wrote it, like she were here. Her name is Jennifer Wilder, and she is one of my bus drivers, and I actually have Angelina Oliver here, who is one of my bus drivers. And when you walk into CSISD transportation, you can't help but notice the energy that Jennifer Wilder and Angel Oliver bring to our team. These two amazing women have earned our September Employees of the Month recognition. So I first want to talk about Jennifer because I know she's watching and we miss you. Jennifer Wilder is our veteran with heart. I say that because she has been behind the wheel of a school bus for over 20 years. But don't think for a second that she's just going through the motions. Every morning, Jennifer greets her students like they're her own children. She knows who had a rough night. She's excited about the school play. She hears all the things, all the extra minutes that it took them to get their backpack ready. Parents parents tell us all the time how much they trust her and that their children are in better hands that they ride her bus. Angel over here, she is our fresh and energy and our natural talent. Angel just earned her CDL this past April, but you'll never know it that she's new to this. She gets going every morning. She's taken to driving like she was born for it, and her enthusiasm is absolutely infectious. What strikes me most about Angel is how quickly she has connected with her students. She already is creating these special relationships that make kids actually look forward to their bus ride. Watching her work, you can see that it's not just a job for her, it's her calling. So here are some really fun things that make them shine. They don't just drive a bus, they create experiences. Both Jennifer and Angel have turned their buses into safe havens where kids feel known and cared for. When your child climbs onto these steps, they're not just getting transportation, they're starting their day with someone who genuinely wants them to succeed. And when we introduced the new bus pass ID system, well, honestly, we were really nervous about it. A new system can be very challenging, and this one required a lot of extra work. But Jennifer and Angel, they didn't take it at stride. They jumped in, they embraced it completely, and they have spent countless hours researching student information, coordinating with schools for pictures, and making sure that every student that is eligible has their bus pass. It's still ongoing. What impressed me most about watching them problem solve together is sharing ideas, supporting each other through the learning curve. They didn't just implement a new system, they were making it work successfully for everyone. If you've ever been around our office lately, you'll probably hear the laughter coming from wherever Jennifer and Angel are working. These two have this amazing ability to find joy in their work, and they share it with everyone around them. Even on the toughest days, and we all have them at transportation, they manage to keep their spirits up and their positive attitudes, genuine friendship with each other and all of us. Angel's fresh perspective combined with Jennifer's seasoned wisdom creates the perfect balance that makes our whole team better. They've shown that this experience and enthusiasm aren't opposite, that they are perfect complementing each other. We want to thank both of them for not only sharing their heart and sharing their wisdom, but sharing their love for CSISD and for our department and for our kids. They truly are wonderful employees, and they are so deserving of this honor. So we would like to give Angel, this is your certificate, and we actually want to thank the Education Foundation, and I think it's E3. They're giving you a $50 gift card. Thank you so much for all your hard work. We really appreciate you. Are you ready?
Thank you, guys.
Let's just go to you.
All right. Mr. Horak, members of the board, and our distinguished guests here with us tonight, we are proud to recognize two outstanding student groups this evening who have gone above and beyond to represent their schools, programs, their families, themselves, and our great district. Earlier this spring, the 3rd and 4th grade student leadership team at Southwood Valley Elementary School set a goal to raise $2,000 for the St. Jude Dream Home giveaway here in College Station. With creativity, teamwork, and determination, they didn't just reach their goal, they doubled it, raising $4,000 to support children and families served by St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. It started as a simple idea, selling stars in the cafeteria for 50 cents each, and it quickly grew into a school-wide movement. Inspired by their classmates, families, and staff, the students learned that when a community comes together, small actions can create a very big impact. They created a social media campaign, designed flyers and posters, planned school-wide awards, tracked donations, led morning announcements, and even got local media attention and were able to interview with KBTX. The leadership team was then invited to tour the St. Jude Dream Home, where they saw their fundraising come to life. Each student was able to paint their name on a rock to leave in the garden at the house, a symbol of their lasting contribution. And in recognition of their generosity, a room in the Dream Home was dedicated to Southwood Valley Elementary. The school's principal, Ms. Allie DeLuna, along with Ms. Montoya, Ms. Pogue, and Mrs. Burns, shared that this project was about so much more than raising money. They wanted students to feel empathy by understanding how their efforts directly supported children in need. They hoped students would discover the value of teamwork and learn that true leadership can happen at any age. Most importantly, they wanted them to experience the joy of seeing their actions make a difference and to realize that one small idea can inspire an entire community. So on behalf of CSISD, we are proud to celebrate these remarkable students, their families, and the staff at Southwood Valley. They have shown us all what it means to lead with a big heart. So students, I'm going to call your name individually, and if you will come up here and receive your certificate from Dr. Harkrider, and then make your rounds to board members so that they can congratulate you. And if you'll come and stand over here in this area, we're going to take a big group picture after we're done. So first on the list is Miss Farah Alawari. The 24-25 Vice President, Justice Benjamin. 24-25 Communications Director, Allison Brown. Marion Bird. Josiah Carr. Lily Conray. Porter Covington. Rosa Cruz. The 24-25 Marketing Director, Cora Daigle. Leandro Davila. Laura Davis. The 24-25 Historian, Rosa de los Santos. The 25-26 Marketing Director, Olivia Delgado. 25-26 President, Garrett DeLuna. Eleanor DeRoche. The 24-25 Secretary, Zachary DeVries. Aaron Hurst. 24-25 Historian, Gwen Jones. Christopher Kim. Derek Lockett. Luella Loring. Lydia Loring. Isadora Luco. Josephine McNamara. Giselle Martel. Adeline Miller. Ellen Mosley. Elliot Nam. 25-26 Marketing Director, Leela Nash. 24-25 Marketing Director, Morris Samosa. 25-26 Vice President, Margaret Taylor. And the 25-26 Communications Director, Carlos Wanzer Serrano. So as these last few kiddos are coming up, we do have a special surprise for this group of young leaders here tonight. It is a privilege of mine and an honor for us to be able to present this to the student leadership group at Southwood Valley, and we're excited to announce that they, along with Ranger Home Builders, were awarded the Best Media and Marketing Integration at the St. Jude National Builder Summit in Memphis, Tennessee last month, recognizing their creativity, hard work, and dedication. And Ms. DeLuna brought the trophy here for you guys. Congratulations to you guys. If you guys will come around here and we're gonna try to get one big group picture together.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, let's just snuggle all in. Good job, good job. Yep, kind of squeeze on it. I'm on like a two. Some of you can sit down on the ground. So some of you can sit you want to sit down perfect, yeah, excellent. Or you can, yeah, however is comfy. Okay, good. What I know. Right. Okay. We're gonna take a picture in 1, 2, 3, say cheese. Oh, that was sad. Good job. Awesome job.
Congratulations, guys. Stay there for your parents. Just one sec. Congratulations. All right, and our last recognition for the night. We have some of the most talented musicians in the entire state here with us tonight. 3 current CSISD students and 1 former student recently earned the Outstanding Performer Award at the UIL Texas State Solo and Ensemble Contest. Out of more than 10,000 solo entries across the state of Texas, only about 3% of those students received this honor, making it one of the most prestigious awards given by UIL. After hearing hundreds of performances, judges selected only a handful of musicians who demonstrated exemplary artistry and musicianship to receive this award. We're proud to announce this year's recipients from CSISD who are here with us this evening. From A&M Consolidated High School's orchestra program, Cynthia Q. Lowe on the violin. And Alethea Payne on the cello. They're directed by Miss McNeil at Consol. Our other soloist who couldn't be here tonight is Joshua Chow. He's a percussionist over at College Station High School. And our former student was a choir student at Consol. It was Zoe Miller, who is now studying music education at the University of Oklahoma. So please join me in congratulating Cynthia, Alethea, Joshua, and Zoe.
All right, awesome. 1, 2, 3, cheese here. Oh, can you, yeah, sorry, yeah. Good, there we go. No, you're great. It's good. You're great, you're great. Okay. 1, 2, 3, cheese. Woo. Awesome. Great job, y'all.
Congratulations. And that concludes our recognitions. You probably would.
We're going both down then.
Want to make sure we recognize our board artwork at the back of our boardroom from Cypress Grove Intermediate in Southwood Valley. So make sure y'all check that out before you head out for the evening. Race item D, D1, board reports.
The intergovernmental committee meeting yesterday at the Brazos Valley Council of Governments, we received kind of an update on a lot of the projects that the county has going on from Judge Cassell, specifically as it might relate more to CSISD. They're doing a renovation of the Expo Center, which we take advantage of on a regular basis, especially for 50 men who can cook. They are also really improving some of the facilities for the road and bridge department, which again is important to us with all of our kids and parents and buses and so forth that we have on the roads. And so just kind of got that update, and a lot of things going on with Brazos County. And in the future, we're going to be getting updates from City of Bryan, City of College Station on economic development, as well as a bunch of other topics that were presented for future discussion.
I've got the Education Foundation latest. This Friday is going to be our first annual Kick for College Cash event. Seniors were able to apply for this from all 3 of our high schools. So we've got 3 kickers, which should be a lot of fun to watch and cheer them on. If they get the kick through the field goal, then they will get $1,000 each. But also HEB generously is giving each participant $100, which is awesome. So thanks to HEB. Also, our employee giving campaign hit an all-time high. We're at 216,000 pledges, which is super amazing. 63% of CSISD employees are giving back to the Education Foundation. So way to go, teachers and staff.
All right, Dr. Payne and I attended the DIC meeting last week, and kind of the kickoff for the year. So I kind of went over the rules and what DIC does. But great attendance. We just got the minutes. There were 45 people there, and good representation, not only from campuses, but also some parents and community members. Got a presentation on CTE update from Mr. Kevin Ross, and if you know, you've seen him present before about CTE. He's excited about all the things that we have going on, and I think he's got a plan that he's going to give us. He gave us a little bit of it, and then we'll see more at some of the next DIC meetings. But obviously, lots of good stuff, and not only is it just good stuff for our students, but also, those programs are treated differently from the funding aspect, and so we had some information and data about that as well. And then I think, there's a lot of other things. We approved the waiver that is going to be on our consent agenda. And then, of course, we already started the discussion about calendar planning. That's a kind of an ongoing, almost takes a good bit of the year to do that. So we introduced a little bit of the process, and also the fact, I know Mr. Mann did this last year, but also getting feedback throughout the year from teachers and parents, opening that up on what they thought of the calendar this first 6 weeks. Right? While it's fresh in your minds, give some feedback so DIC can take that into the consideration as we move forward. That's the major things, I think.
Yeah, just to add, on the presentation with CTE, they do such a great job where the kids get so many things that get them college, career, military ready, which I love from all the things that come with CTE. But one of the also things that's great that Kim was alluding to is that of the funding that goes to CTE, 45% of that can actually go to the general fund. So they're benefiting the entire district.
They pay for themselves and there's left over, which is,
Anything else? Superintendent update.
Yeah, just want to take a quick second to brag on our campus administrators. Retention rate is something that we talk about a lot, and you see across the state, a lot of districts are struggling with it. And just kind of wanted to give you some updated numbers. In 2023, our retention rate was 81%. In 24, it was 82%. And in 25, preliminary numbers have that coming in at over 90%. So extremely proud. I tell our principals all the time, our staff works for them. Technically, they work for us, but our campus administrators are what keeps them with us. And outstanding job, because those numbers are going to be hard to beat anywhere across the state. Last year, our big focus from teaching and learning was implementing professional learning communities and working with teachers on planning and delivering the standards that they're supposed to deliver.
This year, that part is in place, so we're really branching out to campus visits and seeing our teachers work in the classroom and how can we better serve them in the process of how they teach our students. So far this year, our teaching and learning department has made over 281 campus visits to date, and we're in the end of the 6 weeks is this Friday, so that's outstanding work on their part. And then the same initiative was passed along to our campus administrators, MTSS coordinators, and our instructional coaches. And those folks combined at secondary and elementary level, we've done 1,150 classroom walkthroughs since the beginning of school. So kudos to them, the support that our teachers need in the classroom. It's hard for us to deliver the support they need if we're not seeing them in practice. So that initiative obviously is off to a fast start and going very well right now.
All right, that will bring us to item E, hearing of citizens. During this time, we will hear from citizens who registered to speak prior to the meeting in accordance with board operating procedures. Open Meetings Act prevents us from responding to speakers regarding items not on the agenda. Comments related to items on the agenda may be discussed during deliberations on that specific agenda item. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Those needing an interpreter may have up to 6 minutes. Each person has one opportunity at the microphone regardless of minutes used. Unused minutes may not be accrued by another speaker. The executive assistant will time the comments and alert the president when time has expired. The board asks those addressing the board refrain from any derogatory comments. And our first speaker is Amy Algie. Is Amy here? No? No. Next speaker is Leo Tower. And we're using the microphone right up here. Is that on, Austin?
I've been in this district from day one. Miss Givens was actually my kindergarten teacher, but now holds the title of assistant principal at Forest Ridge Elementary. My father had already started me on reading from a very early on, which she understood and was able to give me reading books at the 4th grade level. On my first day of class in 5th grade, I met a student who was unable to spell his own name. I promptly assisted him with this, but it was the first sign of the creeping insanity to come. Thank goodness for a friend of the family that told us about Miss Ashcraft's advanced math program, which sent me to great adventures in math and kept me out of the fray of students with the inability to write their own name. My troubles with faltering teachers began in 7th grade, and at that time, we tried multiple ways to resolve our conflict, including talking to different administrators and even the teacher herself, but nothing worked. So when I finally skipped a grade, I believed that I had escaped from irrationality. However, in 9th grade, the next year, I realized that I was wrong. In the beginning of freshman year, my English teacher had created a poll asking for the students' pronouns in front of teachers versus the parents. I recognized this was wrong on so many levels. However, this time in the fighting process, we had been introduced by that same family friend to an FNG report. The FNG, filing grievances report, was the only method of argument that resulted in a change of any sort, and I was given a new schedule with a new teacher. The only way that I personally know how to get an FNG report is through contact with the Director of Student Services, mainly because information on the subject is so hidden. In the 80-page student handbook that they hand out to students in the district, it is only vaguely mentioned in 1 or 2 locations on how to get an FNG report. And even after it has been found, an FNG report has to be filed within the first 10 business days or no action will be taken. My family and I had fought against many injustices in my middle and high school years, ranging from teachers playing the pronoun game to blunt favoritism and the throwing of pencils at students in class. And the only type of report that has led to the issue being addressed has been the FNG. Neither my teachers or fellow colleagues have the faintest clue on what this report is, which should be shocking to everyone. My family has tried talking to principals and school administrators, and zero occurs until we applied the FNGs. The importance of this report when resolving conflicts is immense, which is why the school board needs to change the location of the FNG information from the elusive to the front page where parents can easily find in their busy lifestyles today. You take advantage of people's busy schedules, as most people just don't have the time. This year, I was transferred to a different school, not because of me being the problem, but because of me being the solution. I fought for every student in orchestra and in English to have a competent teacher and a sane learning experience, not particularly for myself, but for the others who had.
Thank you, Mr. Tower. Next is Richard Woodward. No. And then next, Eleanor Sue Keene.
Thank you, Board of Trustees, for the opportunity for me to share my concerns about the new boundary adjustments for elementary schools. I'm grateful for the district's and the board's response to recent community input, particularly from the historic South Side. So tonight, I'd like to focus on the proposed increase in socioeconomically disadvantaged students in Plan 7. Of the top 5 economically disadvantaged schools, 3 are increasing in percentages, while 4 of the lowest are decreasing in percentages. As I shared in my email to everyone in the board, that means we're asking teachers in already high economically disadvantaged schools to take on additional tasks, responsibilities, and needs of students. I pulled the district policy on school attendance areas, and under primary considerations for adjusting boundaries, number 1 is, quote, provide a comparable demographic balance of students, whereas the third consideration was to allow for future growth. Last year, teachers voiced their dissatisfaction with increased workload and stress, and research has shown over and over again that teachers and administrators in high economically disadvantaged schools are more susceptible to health issues, occupational burnout, and turnover. I worry that by increasing percentages at already high economically disadvantaged schools, that will disproportionately impact those educators, administrators, and staff. While some of these students come from situational contexts like graduate student families, I want to highlight that graduate student populations are also shifting at TAMU. Last year, 33% of them identified as international students, and that percentage is expected to grow. Students from international families have unique needs that require additional supports. I know you've worked hard to create these new boundaries, and I'm not advocating that we go back, but I do have 2 requests. First, please provide additional funding, personnel, and material resources to the schools whose percentages have increased due to Plan 7. And 2, please keep in mind the balanced student demographics if and when you move forward with the intermediate and middle school boundary adjustments. When I first moved here 4 years ago, I was told that no school in College Station was bad or good, that they were all great. And I hope that we can maintain that in some of our boundary adjustments in the future. Thank you for consideration.
Thank you. Jacob McFarland.
Yeah, good evening, board members. I'm Jacob McFarland. It's my first time addressing y'all, but I live in the Southside neighborhood as well. My daughter Virginia went to South Knoll for 5 years. She just started at Oakwood Intermediate. I wanted to speak to you as well about the changes that you had proposed in your plan, but while I agree with Professor Sue Keene, I wanted to talk a little bit about its effects on neighborhood integrity. So I was surprised to learn about your previous plan that it had moved the South Side out of South Knoll. We've been there for quite a while and it's part of our community. And I know you received community feedback last week from people in my neighborhood, my wife included, and I appreciate you making that change. But I still think it's worth talking about how that would have affected our neighborhood as a reminder the next time this comes around. So the South Side neighborhood has been within walking distance to our schools for over 80 years. It's the oldest neighborhood in College Station. Families continue to choose to live in that neighborhood despite the pressure from student housing and game day mansions because it's a walkable and bikeable neighborhood. Within that neighborhood, we can get to an elementary school, an intermediate school, and a middle school. They're all walking distance, though I think biking is probably better. Even the high school is biking distance. I biked here today, so it's a great neighborhood for access to our schools. South Knoll, though, is a part of our neighborhood identity. And if you go and you ask residents in our neighborhood, even ones who've never had a kid who attended South Knoll, they'll tell you that's part of our community. So these proposed boundary adjustments would have hurt our neighborhood identity, and I don't really see how they achieved anything positive in return either. As Professor Sue Keene mentioned, it would have made some of our schools less diverse, it would have increased economic inequality, and it would have caused people in our neighborhood to have to commute over 5 miles when we're within a half mile from South Knoll. So in the future, to prevent these sorts of things arising, I would encourage you, in addition to thinking about balancing these socioeconomic factors in our schools, to also consider neighborhood identity and to think about the neighborhoods that want to be with their schools. I firmly believe that our kids in our neighborhood should be at their neighborhood school. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all for speakers tonight that I have here. That'll bring us to item F, consent agenda. And let me read those items, and then before we have a motion, I got one thing to add. Items are G, H2, H3, H4, I1 through I3, J2 through J19. For items J4 and J7, this is for clarification purposes. Those have to deal with the grant that will be utilized for the projects referenced in J4 and J7 is the Safety and Facilities Enhancement, or SAFE grant, provided by the Texas Education Agency, TEA. So just want to make sure that that was for clarification purposes on J4 and J7.
Motion approved is presented.
Motion by Dr. Payne, second by Ms. Simmons. Any further question or comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. That will bring us to item H1, receive report on 25-26 district improvement plan. Mr. Mann.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Horak, Dr. Harkrider, Board of Trustees. It's my pleasure to come to you this evening to talk with you about our district improvement plan. It is, well, David, what happened? There we go. All right. It is linked on the district website for folks that want to dive into it. And my purpose here tonight is to just kind of touch on the flow of the document, because it can be a little bit like reading stereo instructions if you don't know really what you're looking at. And so I want to make sure to provide that explanation to folks, and then also show you the main focus areas. So in the creation of our district improvement plan, we do meet the requirements that are set forth legally for us. We have comprehensive needs assessments. We look at multiple pieces of data, and you can see them listed here: our demographics, student learning, district, I see a typo there, I apologize, district processes and programs, and then perceptions, and this is our survey data information. And through that process, then we identify problem statements, we get to the root causes of those problem statements, and then we begin to develop our goals and our performance objectives, which if you think of those more as SMART goals, and then our strategies to help us accomplish those goals. And we do use a program called Plan for Learning to help us stay organized with this, because there's many nuances when it comes to creating an improvement plan for public schools. And so we want to make sure that we meet all of that. And so this screenshot is just merely to show you the different components that we look at and evaluate whenever we're developing the different aspects of our improvement plans from the district to the campus level. And every one of our sites has this, and they develop their plan within their sites. And so this just to give you more of a glimpse of what you would see, or what you will see whenever you look further into the plan. And whenever we take the program and put it into a PDF format, it brings it in from this format where you notice on the top it says Goal 1, and then it has Performance Objective 1, and then it has Strategy 1. So then you see it listed here where the goal is across the top, the performance objective, the data that we evaluate for that, and then the strategies that are listed. So you can see where it condenses the format whenever it puts into a PDF format. But everything that we enter there, everything that we talk about is spelled out within the document. And we have our review periods. We designate during the month or during the year which months that we are going to evaluate our progress. And this is where we're held accountable to our campuses, and as a district, we review this and then we present it to DEIC, and we receive feedback and input on this process. And this is kind of our iterative process that we have as a district setup. And as we go through these, then those boxes begin to populate with the different icons you see below, depending upon where we are in the work. And so it's a process we've used for a long time, and this is our second year using the program, and it is very beneficial for us to keep it organized. And one of the things too that you'll notice is that in the strategies, we list out what we anticipate is going to be a result of that work. And you can see listed out the problem statements that are listed in there in the different classifications of demographics and learning and district processes and programs. And it has 1, 2, and 3 and multiple numbers behind them because it depends on how many different problems may have been identified or associated with that area. And so that's where I say it's kind of like stereo instructions. If you don't understand what all those mean and where it's headed to, I want you to kind of see how you can follow that. But we did very much, our plan is continuing to be built upon our strategic plan that we created with the community and put into motion in 21-22. Everything is tied to the goals that you guys approved as a board in April, and we are building upon the work that we've been doing as a district for the last couple of years. Professional learning communities, getting deeper and better at the work that we're doing. Response to intervention, we've been doing that for a long time. We're getting better at what we're doing. And then our multi-tiered systems of support. That is what we are doing to address all the needs of our students. And so this is the focus of our work. This is the work that we've been doing, and our efforts are to continue to get better at it. And that's because the details is where we continue to fine-tune what we're doing. So we have 73 pages of a district improvement plan. I didn't want to go through them page by page. You have all of those, and the campuses all have theirs, and they're all loaded up on the websites, or they will be after the meeting tonight for everybody to dig into and look at all the information there. So with that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
So if you can't sleep, you can watch a board meeting. If you really can't sleep, we can go through the 73 pages.
I mean, you said it. I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Any drastic changes from?
No, sir.
Yeah.
It really isn't. We are really trying to fine tune what we're doing and just get really good at it because we have seen positive results if you were here for the workshop, and we're headed in the right direction, and we need to keep working that.
And I guess the other thing you said, this is, you're working off of the goals that are from the strategic plan that we did.
At the end of 21. So, I mean, 21-22 is the first year we put it into motion.
Right. So coming around this spring, that'll be basically a 5-year-old plan. So I guess the question is, is that still, obviously we still got things to do on that. Mm-hmm. So and this is kind of for you too, Dr. Harkrider, we've talked about when do we want to revisit that as the starting point for these plans?
5 years would end in 26, 27. So with our new leadership team, our plan would be to have a new plan in place for 27, 28. That work would probably begin in the fall of 26 and run into the spring of 27.
Can I ask for some explanation on multi-tiered systems of support so
absolutely.
Folks can kind of understand what that looks like?
Yes. So that's a big umbrella. In education, we love our acronyms. I used to be in the medical field. They love them there too. I'm sure insurance does, right? Not at all. Not at all. I don't get windstorm stuff at all from any of mine. But so multi-tiered systems of support, that is a big umbrella term that talks about all the ways we take care of the non-academic needs as well as the academic needs, okay? So counseling, SEL, nursing, health, safety, the big picture, the whole child, physical education, and yes, academics, RTI fits under that, response to intervention, as well as extension with our GT. So if you think, kind of more like that diamond, right, where you've got kids on both ends and in the middle, how are we reaching the kids on all the sides? And so that's where it's multi-tiered systems. Because in education, we do have tiering processes of level 1 for everybody and then 2 and 3 to narrow into the exact needs of kids. And that's just a concise way for us to say all the things that we look at other than just the traditional things of academics.
And Jeff, we've kind of slowed down. All of this goes together. So there was conversations about MTSS when I started here in 23 as we were putting in the professional learning communities. You can't throw everything at once, although it's good and it's needed. Unless teachers understand how to work and plan together, going through the MTSS is just another step that may or not get done. When they start working together, they see the growth of kids, they start grouping kids, they start working in small groups, they understand. And this year, we have multiple trainings on the RTI. And so they're understanding how the planning goes with the next step of this. So we're stair-stepping this in. And Josh, of what you had said earlier, it's less, we're not buying gadgets or coming up with new software. It's getting down to the basics of great teaching and great support for our teachers. And so all of these processes go together. So this is the second step of where we are. There was a training Friday when we were at Houston at the conference, a 2-day training that Jeff and his team went extremely well. A lot of great conversations amongst campus teachers, campus principals, that a lot of, I think, lights are coming on. Okay, got you. I understand what this is about now, because they've had the planning piece in a year to work together. And so this is just the next step. It's not necessarily anything new. It's just a different way of doing things together.
Just one thing to correct, Mr. Mann, not an English background, right?
Correct.
Okay, I know Mr. Hogan's out here, Ms. Parkerson. My wife has ruined me. It's only an acronym if it makes a word or is used as a word.
There you go.
Yeah, so like MAD or
Appreciate
DARE. Otherwise, it's an abbreviation or initialism. As someone who serves in the military, I'm trying to correct everybody whenever I can.
The military doesn't.
Because my English teacher wife told me that, and it's ruined my life, so thank you.
Y'all, this is an action item, if you looked in the memo, so we do have an action item on this.
I move that the College Station ISD Board of Trustees approve the 2025-26 campus improvement plans as presented.
I second.
Motion by Ms. Simmons, second by Ms. Wilson. Any further question or comment? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Mann.
Thank you.
That'll drop us all the way down to I-4, consideration and possible action to adopt elementary boundary adjustments to begin with 26-27 school year. Ms. Wilson.
Good evening, Dr. Harkrider, President Horak. Let me get that right, sorry. We can change that. Reverse them out, right? Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to present on the elementary boundary adjustments. As you were very much aware, we did start with intermediate and middle school and elementary, and we have tabled the intermediate and middle school adjustments. At this time, we do not feel that we're going to move forward with those until we have a little bit more information when it comes to vouchers, and then it possibly comes to the district possibly accepting transfers in the near future. So with that being in mind, we decided to hold off on those boundary adjustments. And so when we look at this schedule, we're kind of looking at the elementary boundary adjustment timeline. Although we did have a demographer report in March, we have been talking about boundary adjustments for the last year and the need to make these adjustments. There were really 3 elementary campuses that were really overcrowded. The 3 elementary campuses were Pebble Creek. We were looking at Southwood Valley. In addition, we were looking at Spring Creek Elementary. We had heard from those principals and from others that were concerned about the overcrowding on those campuses and to balance out those campuses. In addition, we heard from other campuses, or we saw the need where we had a few campuses that were really kind of under their numbers, and we needed to kind of equal out campuses across the district. And so that really kind of started the conversation. The demographer came March 18th and made the first presentation, and then we started working on plans. He originally drew 5 elementary plans. A few of them did not cover the adjustments that needed to be made to alleviate overcrowding on all those campuses that were mentioned. And so we went further and dug into additional plans. We presented the first round of plans on June 17th. And then we put it out to our community on June 23rd to hear feedback. July 15th, we brought back the feedback to the board. July 7th, we actually updated the boundaries based on the feedback we received from our community and presented 2 additional boundaries. We brought that back for feedback on August 7th. We came back with feedback on August 19th showing better maps. And then again, put that out to the community on August 25th. August 8th, we had a forum. We received additional feedback and made adjustments to the plans in question. I know there's a lot that plays into these boundaries, and some of the things that play in is the fact that, yes, we heard multiple times that we wanted neighborhood campuses. In order to do that, we had to move kids from the south, where we had moved them to go to school there until we could fill up those campuses, back to the south schools. With that being said, there were some trickle effects involved in moving kids around. The current K through elementary students that we're proposing would have a grandfathering policy so that the students that were there for K through 3 would be able to remain at their current campuses if transportation is provided by the family. The addition there is the sibling clause, and that means that siblings of the current K through students may be grandfathered if they enroll while their older sibling is still attending to the same school. This will allow parents just to have to go to one school when they're dropping off kids versus making multiple trips to multiple campuses. This is the proposed updated Plan 7. So we brought Plan 7 to the board back again in August, and after feedback, we moved a boundary line up to George Bush Street. Just to kind of go through some of the things that we look at every time we make an adjustment. For example, when we moved that line up to George Bush Street, even though we heard from multiple people, we actually increased the free and reduced kids at South Mall Elementary. So we've got to take things into consideration. So I just wanted to kind of point that out for everyone to understand. We have put countless hours, I think. The district really cares about all school students and take it all into consideration, but little moves make adjustments to boundaries. Another thing that was brought up was Southwood Valley, and the current enrollment at Southwood Valley is 61.9% free and reduced. With the adjustments of the current plan, it's 59.2% free and reduced. So I wanted to point that out as well. So do I have any questions or concerns about the elementary boundary that's updated that's here for adoption?
One thing, one of our speakers mentioned, then they were talking about the EcoDis numbers. When a campus does take on more of the students, we do get more funding. So that would allow us to be able to provide more resources if needed, correct?
Absolutely. So it's a per student funding for Title I, and our campus does that, the same amount of funding per student. So if they increase 50 students on their campus, they're going to receive 50 students times the per student allotment for Title I funds. And then in addition, sometimes that we can look at state comp ed money as well and allocate state comp ed money to those campuses to kind of help with that as well.
I don't know if, I guess I've asked a lot of questions about these, and I know they're difficult to come up with a perfect answer, and because there will never be a perfect answer. We have many criteria we're trying to balance. The capacity numbers, I mean, I have talked how much I care about the SES numbers, but I understand that the impact of trying to balance those on some of those other criteria. There will never be a perfect plan, and I understand that. I have a particular issue right now, though, on some unanswered questions, and so I'm really talking about, and I really want y'all to hear me out on this, please. I feel like I was not prepared to vote today on this. I mean, I thought our plan would be for this to, I mean, originally it was November, so at least I expected that, you know, we had the forum last week. We had it open for feedback on Plan 7 up through last week. We have never sat down in a room together and gone over the feedback that would come from the online feedback or from that forum as a board. Now, yes, one area got changed, and we got the map yesterday and some input on that late last week. But I felt, and I had some other questions that I had tried to ask that I think still, again, and I'm not saying, listen, I know I'm not going to keep fighting about the SES numbers because y'all have heard all that. I'm saying there's some other things that I didn't think we got answered. One of them specifically was, well, one would be to hear more on the feedback that we got from online, kind of a summary of that like we had previously with the other, feedback. But one of the particular issues I have with this right here plan is, and this is complicated, but early on, a couple months ago, I had asked that I had asked to see what happens to the splits from an elementary school when those kids then have to go to their intermediate school. And in previous years, when we go through redistricting, we take a look at, is the campus going to get a real crazy split? For instance, yes, if half of Rock Prairie goes to AMCMS and half of it goes to, to College Station Middle School, then they're going to have some group of kids going with them, right? But if one of those splits is, very extreme, right? Say a 95 to a 5% split, I'm not sure that's fair to that 5% of kids, which would literally just be a couple of kids that go to a different intermediate and middle school than everybody else. So that is why I had asked a couple of months ago to see what those splits would look like. And again, I know it's another factor, maybe, and it will never be perfect splits, but if there were any extremes in that, I wanted to make sure we at least were aware of that and looked at them. And at that time, the feedback was that once we got narrowed down, we'd get that data. So I was expecting to have another month so we could look at some of those kind of things, that one in particular. So I think we do have an instance where there literally are just less than a handful of kids that with the plan would end up going to a different intermediate and middle school than everybody else in their class in their elementary. And I don't know, I know this has happened fast. We were all gone this weekend at a conference, right? And since this feedback came in. So I don't see, since we had planned for an extra 2 months, why we want to rush that if we still have some of those questions. The other question I had was just a little bit to make sure that understand how we're forecasting dual language, right? And how that is going into every campus. And that one we think is probably in there, but I just wanted to make sure. So
Working with the demographers, the dual language has been accounted for.
I'm going to say something, and I'm going to make it short and sweet. For you to act like you've been asking questions for 7 months and you hadn't got the answers is extremely misleading and not accurate. And 2 of the questions you're complaining about right now, you sent at 2:30 today. You had this agenda since 5 o'clock Thursday afternoon. So for you to send me questions and thinking you're going to have answers to them 2.5 hours before a board meeting is unfair and poor preparation on your part. And that's all I'm going to say. The action is before the board on this plan. It's the board's decision whether you'd like to take action or not. But 2 more months is getting us any closer to the finish line. But your questions have been answered over and over again for 7 months.
And please don't, I am not saying they haven't been answered. I am saying that, no, listen, when I said a couple months ago, I said, I hope one of the things I think we need to consider moving forward at some point is to look at the splits. The answer at that point, which was very valid at that point, was that it doesn't make sense to go through all of that for all 5 plans that we had, or 4 or 5 plans that we had on the table. That made sense. The answer was that as we narrowed it down to a plan, then that would be something we would look at. So, and again, and I will say, and you may or may not know this, but I asked for this to be put on to be moved to October agenda. So I don't want to get in I thought we were not ready to vote on this, and
You thought, you asked, and the executive committee wanted it on this agenda. That's why
And
it's
they
on
get
the agenda.
and they get to make that decision. You are exactly right. So I'm not here to argue and go through all that laundry. I'm just really trying to explain that I really think there's a handful of 5 kids out there that are going to get pulled from their elementary to a different intermediate, and I don't see why we're rushing it. And you're right. All this I just said, all of this happened very quickly. We got this new map and what was going to move on. You know, I mean, I got the map yesterday. We knew this was going to happen like Thursday of last week, right? It's when I texted you and asked about it, and then yes, to look at that and figure out those numbers. I did not get an email till today. You are right. Well, I called first, so.
But you
I
got
know,
the
that's
map
my
yesterday,
point. That's my
but you
point,
got
that
in
it's-
transmittal Friday the explanation of what the change was in detail of exactly what it was. So reading that and seeing it color coded differently, I don't understand how that's such a major deal.
We could go back. I asked for the full numbers of the people affected and the additional ones. I asked for that in a text on last week as well. So I really didn't want to get. It's not that. I just think there's still some little details to hash out, and you can.
But like
I
I
was
said,
going to make a motion to.
this is up to you guys.
Do we have?
I was going to make a motion to table
Is there a
it
number
until next week.
of those kids?
Yes.
What is it?
Okay, so there's 45 kids. So what we're talking about, let me go back to this right here. So when you look at where George Bush is, and so when we made the decision to move that line up to George Bush, that was 39 students. 30 of the 39 students are low social economical students, which caused South Knoll to move up. What she's talking about is the students that are north of George Bush. And so that total area that we had pulled out of South Knoll was 75 students. And so there would roughly be 36 more students that could be in the north part of that's across from the campus.
So we're talking 30-ish going
35
together.
that would go to River Bend, and then they would go to Oakwood.
I think we're talking about elementary kiddos here. I feel like I'm pretty confident when I speak on this. I've got a bunch of them. And more to come, yeah. So I think with really supportive parenting, and that's got to be the key, that these kids are going to be just fine going to a different school than all their friends that they had in elementary. And it's probably going to make them better. I mean, they're in clubs, they have friends in the neighborhood. Like, there's different things they see these kids, and it makes them that much better when they go to the next school and they have that many more friends. So I think at the end of the day, with supportive parenting and the fact that kids are so flexible at that age, like, we aren't going to have the perfect thing, which you've said over and over again, it's not going to fit every kiddo. But, like, I know that the cabinet has put timeless hours, especially reaching out to the community. So we do have to keep that in mind.
I agree.
If I understand this right, when we're talking about north of George Bush, there's a big campus right there, north of George Bush. So nobody going to these schools are living on that campus. Are we talking about pretty much north of University?
Yes, sir.
We are?
There's some.
Okay. So, logistically speaking, with all the things that were presented tonight, if those parents decided, hey, I wanted my kid to go to River Bend because I have the option now, and South Knoll technically on the north side of campus, I mean, College Hills is closer than South Knoll. So River Bend is an option, and you run down George Bush to 2018 and down to IGN or Holloman, whatever that is these days. So that's an option. But then you've got the grandfathering from a kid that's in kinder right now, that if they live there and they want to stay at South Knoll, they have the option. And then if we've got a kid coming behind it, we've got a sibling clause. So now we've got about a 3-year span or longer that kids on that north side could still be going to South Knoll, is how if I'm painting this picture right, that's how I see it. Okay.
Is that the only area that you have concern about?
You know, when I asked the question, I said that one was obvious because I had asked about it last week about why couldn't we move those, how many were there. And it's obvious that, you know, everywhere else that I can look at the zone and see everywhere else that all of all of River Bend will go to Contrail and Wellborn. By the way, the 35 kids really is like 5 to 7 kids, whatever it turns out to be.
Why do you say
per
that?
class.
I mean, that's basically telling us that Miss Wilson's wrong. So I need to understand
no.
that piece.
No, I'm saying there's a total 35 kids that would be moved in the plan for the whole, for K through 4.
Okay.
But when you look at that per grade level, she had said it's like it's what that mathematically about 7 kids.
Correct.
That's per
Per the grade.
per grade.
But they can stay at South Knoll if they choose.
So, and they can, and
Okay.
of course, I mean, and I am all for the generous grandfathering. I do not think grandfathering is what we should use to fix a boundary plan problem. Grandfathering, in my mind, is to help the families who just don't want to move, right? They love where they are now and they don't want to move.
But what about a family that thinks, man, that'd be kind of cool to go to Riverbend? What's wrong with that?
Because I have to think we're busing these kids now to South Knoll. They're beyond.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I guess they're not, I guess to me, it's really, like, for instance, this concern, the concern was not necessarily that they were going to River Bend, obviously. I mean, because the concern then was what would happen as they go to intermediate middle school. And to ask to your question, Ms. Iggy, I don't know. That's what I would ask before, why I thought this would be something we would look at, would have been the splits when I put this out there before, is to see, and because if it would happen, it would be probably in the middle where it's very complex and there's a lot of changes, and I don't know if there's any of these really wacky mismatches. That's what I was asking.
Can I clarify one thing about the splits? Because when the question came in originally, you asked about how the middle school and intermediate was split to go to the high school. And I have that information right here. It came from a demographer. However, we didn't move forward with the intermediate and middle school, and so it didn't need to be discussed because we weren't moving forward with the numbers. I have them right here, and I've had them for a while, but we weren't moving forward with intermediate and middle school numbers. And so it even from my demographer, it says, reminder, there are no proposed changes to the high school attendance boundaries. The numbers referenced below are the numbers for 7th and 8th grade students in the middle schools that have their middle school boundaries changed, but will attend their current planned high school campuses. That's directly from the question that was asked to our demographer, and that was his answer.
And no, and I agree, we were talking about that at the time, for sure. And I think that's even more important for those splits, because, there's a lot more extracurricular activities and all.
I have to think the numbers are diminishing. This particular area we're talking about is basically like Northgate. I'm almost feeling like, if I'm reading the map correctly, I have to think the number of kids are going down dramatically there because it's becoming more and more students and high rises. Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sorry, I'm a big procedure guy. I wasn't sure if Ms. McConnell's made a motion or.
I was going to make a motion I moved to table this until October, because the questions we're asking are exactly the discussion I wanted to have. I mean, again, if it's only 35 kids, what would that do to the numbers, and would it make more sense to move them? Are there any others that are just kind of those small ones or not? Again, and is there anything else that we,
So
I feel like it's such a rush. So
out of,
anyway, I make a
I'm not sure how 7 months is a rush, but there's 15,000-ish kids in our district. We're looking at elementary of 5635, and we're talking about 35 kids where you're concerned about an impact. That's a very small number for what we're looking at. Well, now you answer his question. So just some things to keep in mind from my perspective, because we're elected to make decisions. That's why we're here. I want to thank all the parents, community members who have emailed, who have came here and spoke in person, taking the time to do that. This is a very challenging thing, and speaking for myself, probably for everybody, nobody wants to rezone. It's not fun for a lot of reasons, and it's challenging for a lot of reasons. And of the reasons that are factor in as to why we do it, there's never one reason, there's never a primary reason, there's multiple reasons, and there's multiple variables that go into these decisions. So all that has to play out. We cannot make everyone happy. And for that, personally, I apologize, it's hard. What's fascinating, when we get one email and it says, leave our neighborhood alone, move the other neighborhood. And then the next email is move the other neighborhood, leave ours alone. And so everyone contradicts each other, which is fine. They don't know. Everyone's acting in their best interest. But so are we. We're trying to act in the best interest of all the kids in our district. And if we're hung up on a very small number, I'm not sure why waiting another month or two makes a big difference. But I would appreciate, as Ms. Wilson brought up, parenting, patience, and support as we make an effort to do what's best for all kids.
So but before, just again, sorry, I'm the
We got a motion on the
crazy
floor on
about
the table by
procedure.
Ms.
So
McAdams.
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna second her motion so we can continue the discussion. And then we can vote on that motion and then vote on whatever we're gonna vote on.
Okay, so there's a motion on the table, there's a motion on the floor to table this discussion. First by Ms. McAdams, second by Mr. Ben. All those in favor say aye.
Can we discuss for a second?
Oh, y'all want more discussion? Okay, I didn't know if y'all want to still
Well,
talk about this.
I'm gonna be
see
honest.
where we're
I mean, I sat on the executive in that executive meeting and said, hey, let's move forward with this because we have a good plan. There's no reason to drag our feet and create, we can give the district more time to prepare for this. We can give families more time to know the answer. I mean, I'm inundated with calls and texts because people just want to know what the decision is going to be. I also have had kids who have gone through an elementary school that's split for intermediate. And that's not every school and campus does that. Ours did, and it's still going to. And I know that that's hard, and I don't think we need to make decisions so that we make everything perfect for every kid in that regard, because my kids also grew in that experience, and they met new people, and they are perfectly fine high schoolers and college students now. It is a little hard for me to imagine a scenario where we have a really tiny piece of an elementary that's going to go to one intermediate by itself. That is actually like bothering me a little bit right now. And it may be that there's only 30, whatever it was you said, kids that go there right now. And we're saying those kids are grandfathered. But that doesn't matter for the kids who are going to move there in the future, or the kids who haven't been born yet who are going to be there, in 5 years. And that's really hard for me because I'm ready to move forward. And I do think our district has done a ton of work on this. And the reality is we haven't gotten any I haven't gotten any feedback on that little piece right there. We've gotten lots of feedback from a lot of communities. But I'm going to have to give a little bit of credit to the idea that we're not talking about making things perfect for every single student, but we're saying we have a situation where this tiny little group of kids may get split to go to an intermediate. I'm putting forward the idea that could matter.
I do want to clarify too, this agenda item is listed for elementary boundaries.
Yep.
We can't get into a discussion of intermediate and anything like that. It is elementary. So we need to stick to that.
Sure.
What is a problem or perceived if something were to take action, that's something that obviously we can address at a future date. We currently also, I think you also have to understand if a parent felt a particular way, they may not want to go. They may want to go to the other school. So we currently have inter-district transfers. So if there are extenuating circumstances, then going with my friends, it's not an extenuating circumstance. However, childcare, pickup, if the bus is not available, those are. Ms. Hester and her office make those decisions with our inter-district transfer committee. And some of those have been approved to date in similar situations, because that's not the only situation in the district. We have the same splits at some of our middle schools as well. So it could be something that when we have an opportunity to go back and revisit, probably in the next 3 or 4 years, intermediate and middle school, that we look at those particular one-offs that we have at that particular level and try to address them all at the same time if we feel like that's something that we need to do.
So I understand we're not talking about intermediate and middle, and I've sat up here for 5 years and 10 months of meetings, and I never bring my own personal kids into a decision, and I didn't on this one either. but I bring it up because of the concern of the splits. And I think you hit it on the head. We're never going to have perfect situation. But I want to tell you about a freshman right now that went to Rock Prairie for 5 years, hit COVID during her 4th grade year. And after that year, I moved her out of her track where she was supposed to go and put her at a totally different intermediate and said, hey, you're going to start COVID and not know a single soul when you walk on your 5th grade year. And she did that. She went 6th grade. She made all kind of friends 5th and 6th grade. And she made all kind of friends 7th and 8th grade. And then freshman year hit, and guess what? Her best friends that she made in 5th through 8th grade, she lost them. They're at the other high school. Guess what? She's doing just fine. We're 6 weeks in. That freshman is my freshman. And that's what I'm saying. Ms. Wilson hit it on the head. Parents, as long as they're involved, as long as they're being supportive, this and that, kids are resilient. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. But they've got to have the support. Our teachers are phenomenal. Dr. Payne has said it. Every school in our district is a phenomenal school. And we can prove it. And everybody's growing. So when I'm looking at this and I have to go back and look at all 14,000 plus students, and I see where we started, and we were talking about moving Castlegate, and we were moving this, and then we were moving that, and then this kid wasn't going to go to Forest Ridge. They were now going to go to GP or GP to Forest Ridge, and then South Knoll over to Rock Prairie, Southwood Valley, back over here to Creekview. And we listened to everything, and I think y'all took everything in. I think at one point during a meeting, I asked Mr. Dunson, how much feedback did we get? And we got over 1,000 responses. So I can sit here confidently and feel comfortable with however I'm going to vote and go, they put in the work, they've put in the effort, and they've taken everything into consideration. I've had parents say, thank you for listening to the feedback. I didn't listen to the feedback. I just passed it along. Thank you for listening to the feedback. That never happens. That's never happened. I've never been listened to when I reach out to the district. That's kind of nice to hear as a trustee because we don't hear that a lot. So to hear it, especially during the rezoning and the boundary piece, I'm pretty optimistic. Now, granted, that's a small subset. I get that. But I wanted to share that piece because there are so many factors, like Dr. Payne said, and I just wanted to share my personal experience with it of what I put my daughter through. I didn't do it to make it harder for her or anything like that. It's just how our family decided to navigate through College Station ISD, just part of it. She didn't get mad at me. She didn't yell at me. She loves it. She can't wait for 4 years to be over and she can go to University of Alabama. She wants to be a nurse. But those are things that I didn't know back when she was in 5th through 8th grade. And now she's developed her own identity. And that's the neat part about what we do at CSISD. We develop these kids' identities, and they get to develop it based on the interactions and experiences that they have. Whether that was at Rock Prairie, and then now over at PT or wherever, then that's just how it went. So there's no, go ahead, Josh. No, I was going to throw the motion out there.
Well, I had a couple questions.
Go ahead.
And comment first. Number one, I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Horak, and you, Ms. Wilson, as to, when you have active, involved parents, and I would go so far to say that every single person in this room is probably actively involved in their children's lives. But realistically, we know that's not the case for all our kids. But I'm still, I was kind of confused by what Ms. Adams said and kind of confused about what Ms. Wilson said. And I've joked for almost 6 years now about how I'm not a numbers guy. But so what are and it could change next year. I realize that. But what are we talking about as far as the number of kids that are going to have this potential split?
There's 35 about that. 45.
So there's 35 from South Knoll that would not be going to the intermediate school that all the other kids from South Knoll would be going to.
There are those students that they would go to Riverbend and then go to Oakwood versus South Knoll to Oakwood. Yes.
Okay, and I'm sorry to everybody here. One more time.
So 35 of those students, they would go to Riverbend.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they split to intermediate, those 35 would go to Oakwood.
And the other
The
ones,
students at River Bend would go to Pecan Trail.
okay.
If they would choose, it would only affect those children that parents didn't take the grandfather, or once the grandfathering's done, they would never go to South Knoll. They would go to River Bend. We also have other one-offs. We have 7 to 10 kids every year that go through Creekview that do not go to Side Grove with everybody else. They go to Pecan Trail. So this is not, and like I mentioned earlier, I knew there were other situations. So this isn't going to fix anything until we get to the intermediate middle school boundaries. And those are situations that we could take a look at as a district as a whole versus wanting to Band-Aid this. Well, you've got 10 other issues over here. And the reason we're wanting to move forward, I mean, just to be bluntly honest, we've talked about this for 7 months. I'm not for sure how much more we can talk about it. We also have to get communication out to all of our parents who would be rezoned. They need to make a decision on grandfathering, and I need to give them about 30 days to do that. I need to get data back. I need to be able to staff, and we've got to go. I mean, this process, we're already planning for next year. And so every month that I have to make decisions and get information and give parents time is the quicker we can make decisions for next year. Our budget's at July 1, so everything starts early. So the quicker, the better. And I don't feel like any of this process has been rushed. I think we've slow played it as well as we can, and we've also received, according to Austin, with survey responses, emails, communication, over 2,000 comments from parents and community members. I don't know how much more we can ask for.
You just answered my second question.
Okay.
Third question was, since the updated Plan 7 has been put out there, have we received any comments from the
To my knowledge, we've received the area Kimberly's concerned about, and Austin, tell me if I'm wrong. I have not seen any comments with a concern about that area going to Riverbend. No.
Okay. And the last question.
How many total? Sorry, how many do you?
Let me just get this out.
Okay,
Last
go ahead.
question, then I'm going to shut up. Just to kind of clarify, what we're voting on makes reference to the grandfathering being dealt with later. So would we be voting tonight on whether we're grandfathering?
No, sir. Our board policy, FC Local, only addressed grandfathering with recommendations on how grandfathering has been done in the past for the district, only for new campuses. It does not address what we're doing here, and the new campuses are only a suggestion. It's not a mandate, so grandfathering would fall under administration. The one caveat that it does say is transportation for grandfather students who live outside of a school's attendance area shall not be provided unless the district deems it appropriate.
But the administration plans on offering the grant.
Our administration has made the decision all current K through third graders in our school district have the option to stay where they are if they would like to complete their elementary stay, including any siblings that may enroll in school while they're there. So we're not asking parents to go to 2 different campuses.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Last question.
That also does not deal potentially with students who may be in special education that are put in a particular area or campus. That it doesn't matter. That best interest for those kids will be made regardless.
I think why I'm prepared to vote is because we have discussed this. I know our original timeline was longer, but we've received so much feedback and have made adjustments and have been very proactive. And we have families that are waiting to hear on us vote on this, those neighborhoods. And I think we owe it to those families to know what their plan is going to be.
I just will follow up. I agree. I appreciate the discussion and you guys listening. Why haven't we heard from those 35 families? Well, one, because there's only 35, and it's because of probably there may not be the most active in our school district. They may not even know, right? And that is when we have to represent those students as well. I never heard much feedback, how many comments did we get on Plan 7? Because it's really only been out there a month, right? We've really only had plans in front of us for 3 months and been talking about them. So how many were though? I know you guys looked at them, but they were never really presented and shared with us, what those feedback was.
No, ma'am, I mean, that's kind of, our job is to look at comments and make recommendations to you guys. And Austin gave you access to all of the feedback that we received earlier, and you had access to any of this if you wanted to see it again.
We received 79 total comments from the time that we opened up feedback for the community forum. We left it open up until yesterday. Actually, I'm sorry, yes. And those comments, those 79 comments, were shared with you in transmittal on Friday.
I will say too that, you know, there's a lot of families in our community. And so, you know, we started really in earnest talking about this in board meetings in June. I know some people are, you know, not really paying attention in the summer, but the reality is that once we put out Plan 7 and said we were going to have that community forum, I, as a parent, I mean, I received a text message about the forum. So I will say with some confidence that I feel like the school district, once they got to the point of saying, hey, we're narrowing down to Plan 7, there was email communications, there was social media communications. I even got a text message about the forum. So I felt good about that, knowing that, hey, we've narrowed it down now. Like, if anyone hasn't gotten a chance, we're doing the best we can to communicate that out. I mean, I came to that forum to listen and, you know, see who showed up and what their concerns were. There was an area that I feel like was really well represented, and I saw our district personnel sit down with those people and talk to them and make an adjustment based on what they felt like was, you know, good feedback. So I do want to speak up and say I feel like the district has done all that they could to communicate out the process that we've been going through.
Can I withdraw a motion?
If you'd like.
I will, that's fine. I wanted to have the discussion. Obviously, I don't think we're going to vote. I think we're going to vote tonight, so I'll withdraw the motion.
Any further discussion? We do need a motion on this.
I make a motion that we adopt Plan 7 as proposed.
Motion by Ms. Simmons, second by Dr. Payne. Further discussion or comments? Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Thank you all for your work on all that. That brings us to item K1, Annual Consolidated High School Commissioning, Testing, and Balance.
You missed the open forum.
Did I miss?
Yeah.
Dang it.
Sorry.
Hold on. You're right, J1. Oh, sorry. No, that's what my J1 looks like. That's my notes. Sorry. My fault, Ms. Wilson. I've written all over it. I got it right here. Public hearing, consideration discussion related to 25 financial management report based on 23-24 fiscal year, an overview of schools first system and most recent rating for College Station Independent School District.
All right. So Mr. Neely and I have some great news tonight on our first rating. Of course, I'm going to probably share the thunder before you get to the end, but we did make a 98, if that makes you feel any better. Sorry, Chris. Spoiler alert.
Thank you, Chris, for your presentation.
I know, right? So it's based on 21 indicators. There's 4 critical indicators, and then even though that there's 4 critical indicators that can fail you automatically, there are other things that represent in the indicators, meaning like if the timely payments, if you get a warrant, you have a warrant for over 30 days, then you fail. If you get a warrant period, you can make nothing higher than a 95. So that's kind of how they do. They set you up where, yes, if you fail any of the first 4, you automatically fail. But then there's also things that say if you hit this indicator, even though you didn't fail the first 4, you can make no higher than a certain grade. So those are the ones listed on the screen. So really kind of the first rating system was set up in 2003, was the first original one. It was elected by the legislation in 2001. It was really set aside for the board and the community to be able to have some indicator before something goes wrong in the district to give you a heads up. So that's kind of what we're going to go over tonight, just to kind of talk about where we are as a district. But it's really set up, and as you can see, it gives you an alert. If there was something that we failed as a district, if we failed to do, if we failed to provide, if we failed to post, it gives you a heads up. If we are what they called circling the drain, meaning our assets aren't where they need to be, is our debt's too high, that's what the indicators are for. So the first indicator basically just says that we file our financial report on time. And yes, we did. We filed it by January 8th, and we'll file sooner this year because our fiscal year ends sooner. So we have 30 days past the deadline, or then we'll fail the indicator. And there are school districts across the states that fail to turn in their audit on time, and most likely those are because they're not doing a great job. Their auditors are taking a long time to do their audit because they're closing out their books for them. Indicator 2 is, did we receive an unmodified opinion? And an unmodified opinion actually is a good opinion. And yes, we did receive an unmodified opinion on our financial statement. Indicator 3 basically talks about, did we pay our debt payments? Did we pay our lease payments, our debt payments, any debt agreements that we possibly have? Do we pay them on time, and are we in good, whatever, anyway. Financial, yes, we're doing well. We paid all of our debt payments on time, and we are looking good financially there. The fourth indicator, I kind of touched on this, and if any of you are a homeowner, a business owner, you understand real quick what can happen if you miss up on an Internal Revenue Service payment. The penalties are extremely high. So that's really kind of what they're looking at. Are we paying our teacher retirement system on time? Are we paying internal service payments on time? And any other workers' commissions, anything like that? Are we paying our payments on time? If we don't pay our payments on time, they do warrant holds. And what that means is we will no longer receive state funding. We won't receive our federal funding until we can get things taken care of. So that's something that, like I said, they want to just alert you if we weren't on time. And yes, we were on time. We didn't have any warrant holds, so we got full percentages there. The other indicator of this is not, of course, a critical that you'll fail automatically, but it is looking at unrestricted net position. So it looks at your total position. It takes out some GASB rulings that could affect that, and it makes sure you have your total assets are better than your total liabilities. And so yes, we passed that. I'm going to turn it over to Chris to kind of go through some of the other ones.
Sure. So indicator 6 is another one of those ceiling indicators. And it's looking at if the average change in balance over 3 years was less than a 25% decrease, or did the current year's assigned and unassigned fund balance exceed 75 days of operational expenses. And essentially this indicator is looking at two components to determine the financial well-being of a district, of which only one of the two indicators must be met for the district to pass. The first component analyzes whether or not the district is dipping into available fund balance too quickly year over year. In general, the school district's fund balance serves as a financial cushion to cover unexpected costs, ensure smooth cash flow for operations like payroll, and prevent short-term borrowing. A healthy fund balance can also serve to improve credit ratings, leading to lower interest rates on any future debt the district may incur. The reason this indicator has two components is that a district simply going into fund balance isn't necessarily an indication of financial instability. So they added that second component so that they would look at the fund balance in the comparison to the 75 days of operational expenses. So when we were looking at this and we were analyzing our year over year, as well as that 75 days of operational expenses, we met both criteria, even though we only had to meet one. So our fund balance actually has increased over the last 3 years, I believe by about, 12.5%. And our, I believe our 75 days of operational expenditures, I think we're in the 95 range there. So indicator number 7 was the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in the general fund for the school district sufficient to cover operating expenditures. Again, we passed this and received the full 10 points. And specific to this indicator, it tests a critical component of the district's ability to meet both expected and unexpected cash flow needs. The cash on hand determination is looked at several points during the first rating. I think indicator 9 is another one where it looks at this cash on hand determination. For this indicator, the number of days of cash on hand will fall into a range to determine the points received. So it's not a simple pass-fail. If you have fewer than the 90 days, then you'll get a certain percentage of the points. But for us, we exceeded that 90 days and received the full points. Indicator 8 was the measure of current assets to current liability ratio for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt. Again, the district received the full 10 points on this indicator. Essentially, this indicator provides a quick snapshot of the district's ability to convert assets into cash within 1 year in order to cover debts due during that same period. From an accounting perspective, a healthy current ratio signals financial stability and a favorable position for the district to meet obligations without needing to seek immediate new financing. This indicator is graded on a scale, again, similar to the last rating. And in this case, we had our current assets to current liabilities was 4.0602, which is a healthy current ratio. Indicator 9, did the school district's general funds revenue equal or exceed expenditures? If not, was the school district's number of days of cash on hand greater than or equal to 60? So again, as I mentioned earlier, this is another indicator that's once again looking at cash on hand. And so for both components of this indicator, the district met the required standards to receive full points. So our revenues exceeded our expenditures by, I believe, 1.54%, and our cash on hand was at 95.214. So both the fact that the revenues exceeded expenses and available cash on hand exceeded the 68th threshold provides a strong indication that the district is positioned to meet both expected and unexpected cash flow needs. Indicator 10 is not scored. And then Heather's going to speak on indicator 11.
Okay, so on indicator 11, this is the one we lost a couple of points on. And I brought this up last year as a concern because of the fact it really kind of lays with your long-term debt. And so what's going on here is just our bond payments. So it only looks at the bond payments that are exceeding a year. And that's the only reason why we lost the 2 points, okay? So last year we actually received an 8 on this indicator as well as this year. But last year we grew more than 7% over 5 years. But however, we only grew 3.4% over these next 5 years. Therefore, we couldn't use that as a caveat. So it goes back to look at that long-term debt. So that long-term debt is at 0.6644. If it is above 0.6, then you lose 2 points. And so that's why we lost on this one, and we'll continue to lose those 2 points on this indicator.
So indicator 12, was the debt per $100 of assessed property value ratio sufficient to support future debt payments? While the district received the full 10 points for this indicator, the correlation between future debt requirements and the district's assessed property values is something that we'll continue to monitor. Specifically, as the district sells off remaining bonds, we anticipate that the calculated correlation value will increase to the point where we may only receive 8 of the possible 10 points in the future. With that said, our district has a relatively low tax rate of 27.9 cents for our interest and sinking out of a maximum of 50 cents, and we have very strong property values here in College Station. So these facts mitigate concerns tested as part of this indicator related to the district's ability to continue to meet our long-term debt obligations.
All right, another one that I know that we discuss often is the administrative cost ratio. And so what this is made up is 2 functions. And we look at 21, which is kind of central curriculum, and then 41, which is administrative cost. And we pass this indicator as well. Our district is 0.07618. If of course, if you were 0.0855, then you would lose a couple of points. But right now we're sitting strong. It looks at total cost in those. It doesn't really look at staffing in a sense, but total cost that we're spending on administrative costs and curriculum. And this is just really kind of the breakdown so that you could see what that would look like.
Okay, so indicator 14, did the school district not have a 15% decline in students to staff ratio over 3 years? Now, one thing that's not mentioned in the question is that this indicator also just looks at your enrollment and whether or not it increased or not. So if your enrollment does increase, you automatically pass and receive the full 10 points. So in this case, we did have an increase in enrollment during the period of review, and so we received the full 10 points. But I think also looking at that 15% decline in student to staff ratio, we also met that criteria. So again, for all these criteria that have multiple components, really from an OR perspective, we're looking at both sides of the thing of the indicator, because we want to make sure we're positioning ourselves effectively in the event that one of those indicators flips from an affirmative to a negative. So indicator 15 was the school district's ADA within the allotted range of the district's biennial pupil projections submitted to TEA. If the district did not submit pupil projections to TEA, did it certify TEA's projections? And so indicator 15, yes, we were within the allotted range. So this indicator analyzes the ability of districts to correctly anticipate actual ADA. From a financial perspective, projected ADA, or average daily attendance, directly impacts Texas school funding because it forms the basis for the foundation school program. The foundation school program is the primary mechanism for distributing state and local funds to Texas school districts, aiming to provide equal revenue per students and tax effort for all districts. Reasonable projections allow school districts to more accurately anticipate their school funding and avoid situations in which funding received from the state must be paid back. While this indicator was not scored last year due to residual impacts of COVID-19 on school districts, this indicator was included in the 23-24 school year data. In evaluation and scoring system, the district's actual ADA must be within 7% percentage points of our biennial pupil projection, and we were, I believe, within 1.25%. So we are aligning well with that indicator. Indicator 16 is another ceiling indicator, and it asks, did the comparison of PEIMS data to like information in the annual financial report result in total variance of less than 3% of all expenditures by function? So essentially, this test was created to ensure that the data communicated within our audited financials matches the data that is being submitted through the PEIMS system, which is the Public Education Information Management System. PEIMS encompasses all data requested and received by TEA about public education, including student demographic and academic performance, personnel, financial, and organization information. PEIMS created a standard across all districts for comparability and review. And so at most, a variance of 3% can exist. And for the 23-24 year, I believe our difference was $212 out of $149 million expense. So we were well within the threshold. So I think we did all right on that one. Indicator 17 for did the external independent auditor report that the annual financial report was free of instances of material weakness in internal controls? Simple answer is yes, but to provide a little bit more background for that. So for CSISD, our auditors reported that our audited financial reports were free of instances of material weaknesses in internal controls. The importance of this determination is that it provides outside parties with confidence that the district's financial statements are reliable and accurate. Specifically, effective internal controls reduce the risk of fraud, errors of misstatement in financial reporting, and provides assurance that the district's financial reports is robust, effective, and reliable. So all that to say, being free of material weakness is a very good thing, and I think it's indicative of a lot of the other things that we're doing well within the financial department as well as our district as a whole. Indicator 18, did the external independent auditors report that the annual financial report was free of any instances of non-compliance for grants, contracts, and laws related to local, state, and federal funds? So the district places a high priority on ensuring that funds are being utilized in accordance with their intended and allowable purpose. For federal programs, this means that expenses must be reasonable allowable and allocable to their program. So the reasonable criteria looks at would a prudent person make a similar payment in a similar situation. The allowable criteria reflects costs that are permitted within general federal regulations, and the allocable criteria is the determination that the cost has been incurred solely to support or advance the work of a specific program. One thing that I will mention is that our federal programs directors in the teaching and learning department do a tremendous job of managing these programs, ensuring that we remain in compliance. And they're reviewing everything that's coming in and out of those programs. And again, making sure that we're spending the funds to meet the needs of those students for which we have received the funding. Indicator 19, did the school district post the required financial information on its website in accordance with government code, local government code, TA code, Texas Administrative Code, and other statutes, laws, and rules that were in effect at the school district's fiscal year end? Yes, we have all necessary reports posted on our website. Indicator 20, did administration and the school board members discuss any changes or impact to local, state, and federal funding at board meetings within 120 days before the district adopted its budget? Again, yes, that's something that occurs, and Ms. Wilson does a wonderful job sitting down and presenting the facts well in advance of the budget adoption, and I believe it's something that y'all work on over multiple board sessions. And then our final indicator is indicator 21. Did the school district receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than one fiscal year for over allocation of SFP or Foundation School Program funds because of financial hardship? No, I think this goes back to one of the indicators that we focused on earlier when we're looking at our projected ADA to actual ADA. I think the fact that we are well within the threshold, that 7% threshold, puts us in a position where, first of all, we're not going to be receiving significant of excess funds from the state as part of the SFP program. I think also this is really looking at those school districts that do they may overestimate to a significant extent, and as a result they receive too much funding, but they don't have the financial resources to pay that back to the state. So they get set up on a repayment plan. So as Heather mentioned before, College Station ISD received a superior rating, scoring 98 out of a possible 100 points on our school first rating. And so not sure if Heather has anything else to say or if y'all have any questions.
Do you have any questions?
How many total indicators are there? You know?
21.
That's all? Okay, thank God. If there were more, I was.
Actually, there were more, but.
Just, we contributed on number 20, that's all I know, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we open to public comment and then close, or good?
Just that it's awesome that we can trust these guys with our money, right? I mean, every year, we heard some story of one district at Tessa Tasby that had like a 70, and yeah, it was bad. So I don't know if that's the worst out there, but it's wonderful to always get the superior score.
I will open it up to any public comments on the first report. Anyone? That was a thorough report then. So we'll close that public hearing. I will move us to K1, A&M Consolidated High School Commissioning, Testing, and Balance. Mr. Buckner. You got a pour tomorrow? What time? Sweet. You can send CIMAC.
Yeah, it is an early morning port tomorrow. Okay, so yes, this is for the commissioning and testing and balance for the A&M Consolidated Addition renovation project. This also includes a retro commission on the entirety of the building away from the addition due to all the mechanical equipment new equipment that's been installed over the past 2 years or so on that building to make sure it is all operating and functioning as efficiently as possible and keeping our costs low for that high school. And this is through EMA Engineering and Consulting. They're a firm that has multiple locations throughout the state, and they are headquartered in Tyler.
Motion approved as presented.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ege. Any further question or comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Run into K2, College Station High School Commissioning, Testing, and Balance. Mr. Buckner.
And this is the same thing, except this is just for the additions. This is not in, there's no retro commissioning as part of this. This is additions only, and it is also with EMA Consulting and Engineering and Consulting.
Motion approved as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Payne, second by Ms. Simmons. Further question or comment? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much, Mr. Buckner. We'll now move to executive session. Thank y'all for being here this evening. Into the 6 weeks. For upper level is Friday, and I believe there's a crosstown showdown Friday at a football stadium. We're back, 9:31. No action. Adjourn.